NewsNation national security contributor, former CIA officer, and former FBI special agent Tracy Welder. Good morning to you. Tracy, her body never found. The 18-year-old, she was last seen with Sloot, but he never was charged. So I just want to get to the nitty-gritty here. Do investigators believe Sloot is their guy? And it's just constantly, they're just trying to find something that'll stick, something that will actually prove that he's the one who killed her and disposed of her body?
Well, thank you for having me, Adrienne. I think you hit the nail on the head right there, actually. I think with this email, really what it does is it really just justifies what I've always expected was that, he took her body out to sea. That's always what I had suspected that happened. But the problem is this email was sent in 2010. 2010 was a big year, quite frankly, for Joran Sloot. That's also the year that he killed Stephanie Flores in Peru. That's also the year that he tried to defraud Natalee Holloway's mom for access to her body. So 2010 was a big year for him, and he has been known to lie. However, what's interesting is this is the most plausible reason, plausible cause of her death that I have seen Joran Sloot really issue to date. And it also brings in a new witness, quite frankly, to this case too. I want to know who sent this email. I think that's really important here.
Well, did he send the email to a friend? Who's the guy? Who's the David G, whom the messenger lists as the recipient of this email? Do you think this will lead to actual charges for him in the Natalee Holloway case?
I'll just be blunt. I don't. I mean, I want it to. Obviously, I want that for Natalee's mom. I know y'all were just talking about victims, and I think that that's so important in this case. I want it to. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. However, what I think is the most important is who sent this email. Like you mentioned, David G. Is this a new person, a new lead? Although Aruba closed the case in 2007, maybe this is a lead that the U.S. can follow up on based on the IP address and track that individual. So perhaps this could lead to more down the road, but I don't think this email is the smoking gun that, I want for Natalee's mom as well.
Yeah, clearly, let me just read a portion of the quote from the messenger. In it, it says, my dad got a boat 2 days later maybe referencing when Natalee Holloway went missing. We went for a ride and took care of things. That's all I'm going to say, end quote. So in terms of procedure, he's in jail in Alabama. You mentioned the extortion. He has been charged for trying to extort money from Holloway's parents. What do investigators do with this email? Okay, you got it. But in terms of, I think of the statute of limitations, I think of the fact that, someone could say this wasn't me, but looking at the IP address, they could find out who it was. What happens next?
I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of ifs here. Look, I think he's looking right now at least 30 years in jail on those extortion charges if he is convicted. Although I would love to see a conviction for Natalee's murder. Really what they're going to have to do is work backwards, tracking the IP address of this email. Yes, of course, he has plausible deniability. You're absolutely right in terms of saying, look, I didn't send that email. But if they can track the IP address back to one of his computers that he had at the time, well, then that's a whole nother story. And then they can put that basically in his hands. But I think issue number one is going to be looking at the recipient, that David G that you mentioned. That's going to be the big deal in this case moving forward.
Tracy Welder, always good to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.